it is connecting with YouTube live. So anyone in the world, they can watch this program through their YouTube. But YouTube has some difficulty. Nobody can ask questions on YouTube. So it is better one can join through Swasti Sikha. I have given you, made you co-host. You can join. Swasti Sikha, are you listening? Yes, I made you co-host. You can do spotlight or yes. Oh, sorry. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Now yes. I think it's clear. Okay. So let's start our universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in one. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is therefore one with every other. Silence forever. Namaste. Good morning to all. We all know we are going to discuss today on the topic transformation and free will. We all know how much willpower, as the master says, don't desire but will. We know how willpower is needed while walking on this path or progressing in the spiritual path. So the speaker for today to discuss about it more is with us, Madam Uma Bhattacharya ji. Giving a brief introduction about our speaker, I would like to say Uma Bhattacharya ji has done her postgraduate in Sanskrit from Banaras Hindu University. After that, she completed MPhil from University of Madras. Uma Bhattacharya ji is with Theosophical Society after her retirement from her service since 2011. Discussing more about her, I would like to tell Mrs. Bhattacharya has a vast administrative experience. She got inducted in Armed Forces Headquarters Services through IS and Allied Services examination in 1973. She served in Ministry of Defence, Government of India in various responsible positions. She contributed more than 36 years of service in Army, Air Force, Navy, and various inter-service organizations as civil servant, and retired as Additional Director General from her service from New Delhi headquarters of the in 2011. And I would like to focus on the topic that she has done research and wrote a thesis about essence of education and its role in building quality society. And for her, this topic and for her thesis and research, this topic was widely appreciated and approved, and she was awarded MPhil for this. Though she was interested more on education after retirement for her service, she was fascinated and interested to provide more and more, to work more and more in the educational field. So recently she is working as the manager in Basant Kanya Mahavidyalaya in Banaras, and also she is the manager of Basant Balika Bihar Girls Hostel, which is located in that campus. Without wasting more time, I would like to request Madam, please continue and continue the discussion. Madam, over to you.
Hello, good morning, friends. I think I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, clearly audible.
Okay. So good morning to all of you. In my last talk during International Convention 2020, I presented my views on does one go through the cycles of transformation in life. Today, I am going to carry the subject further ahead under the heading Transformation and Free Will. I would elaborate with greater depth how transformation is bound to come in human life, whatever be the level of our spiritual development. Because this is the plan of nature. Plan of nature is steady unfolding of consciousness awareness. We must understand the design of universal consciousness, that is to ultimately evolve the entire nature, which includes human existence as well. So we must, if we do not expand our vision beyond body consciousness and reach to the core purpose of our life during this lifetime itself, then the whole journey will be jeopardized. It will be like boarding a stationary train with all facilities and comfort to travel with, but disembarking at the same station where we boarded after a long period. So we have just wasted the long period because we have not reached anywhere. The purpose is only served when the train carries us to our destination. So comforts are good as long as they do not interfere with the journey of Atman. And journey of Atman is taken for transcending the body consciousness and reach to the infinite bliss, eternal peace. The game of life is all about this. The journey of life continues for one or more lifetimes till there is a complete transformation and infinite is attained. The kingdom of heaven is within us. We all know this. But we are not aware about the kingship at present. We know not that we are God. We do not understand, we do not experience the God within, the Godhead within. And that is why we suffer. We suffer fortune, misfortune, sorrow, and praise, censure, etc. Many-fold variations and fluctuations plague the world. But the moment we experience the Godhood within, these external changes don't affect us, and we become more calm and composed, reveling in our own self. This is the ultimate transformation for which the journey of life is being taken again and again. The human being is mindful. It has a capacity to align with unseen, the subtle hand of divinity. We can choose to remain at a lower level of consciousness, that is, eating, drinking, sleeping, and remain engrossed in the sense gratification. Or, on the other hand, we can soar to the higher level of consciousness where we can find perfect balance in each set of circumstances. We have a choice to live an ordinary life and suffer, or live an enlightened life and remain blissful. Enlightened life is attainable by exercise of choice and action with awareness. For getting transformed, one needs to exhaust the vasanas or sanskars which he has acquired from past lives. We all have acquired vasanas from our past lives, and that is why we are having different thoughts, different desires, and we are all nurturing the different kind of passion. So these all, as long as vasanas exist, these thoughts, desires, and action will constantly flow from us. All thoughts, desires, all action, they emanate from our vasanas automatically, as the sound emanates from the etchings of the river. It seems as though we are left with no choice but to act according to our vasanas. But it is not so. Man alone amongst all living beings has a choice of action. And other living creatures are denied this freedom of action apart from their inherent nature. For instance, tiger is ferocious. It can never be kind and peace-loving. It must strike and kill. Whereas cow is meek and very mild by nature. So there is no scope they can change their nature. Following its choiceless pattern of life, an animal therefore neither evolves nor devolves consciously. It has taken birth just to exhaust its vasanas in the realm of activities in which it is born. So for animals, it is hope period. The animals tread the beaten path. Unlike animals, the man he enjoys freedom of action. We could be more beneficial to society, or we could be extremely harmful. Unlike animals, man can consciously exhaust his vasanas and rise to the greater heights of perfection. Or he can accumulate more vasanas and sink to the lower depth of degradation. Choice of action is rendered possible because man has been endowed with a unique faculty called self-authority, which is also known as purushartha or free will. Self-effort gives us the freedom of independent action regardless of our nature, of our vasanas. Our present vasanas arising out of our prarabdha, that is, our sanskaras, set a broad pattern of our life. But through self-effort, we can modify or change the pattern. This is the prerogative man alone enjoys. There are some evolved souls who come on this earth to guide the masses to the path of spiritualism, like Sri Ramakrishna Dev, Sant Kabir. So they came as transformed beings, but majority of us are in the realm of darkness, and we suffer multitude of external pressures, sorrows, and frustrations. We tend to ignore deeper standards, cherished ethics, and ultimate objective. These lead us to a meaningless, hollow existence where we squander precious days, months, and years. We live under the shadow of fear, and sometimes we are under tremendous stress to protect what we have. Here comes the role of self, of free, to rediscover the original path of spiritualism. Through self-effort, one gradually advances in the path, and there begins a silent transformation within. Vedanta also requires a commitment to inner transformation. For inner transformation, meditation is the only scientific technique through which we can exhaust all our desires, thoughts, which emanate from vasanas, sanskars. And for meditation, we need to have calm and composed mind. To be honest, mind of today's world is in chaotic state. An agitated mind is not fit for meditation. So our mind must be cleared before we reach the seat of meditation. Purity of mind means making ourselves free from all clingings and cravings for the objects of this material world. Do human beings desire to elude sorrow and restlessness, but perhaps he is not aware of the way out. He should understand that he has to use his free will, self-effort to get out of this mess. For rescuing himself from these delusions, when he makes sincere effort to charter his life in an unknown territory of spiritualism, bringing yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, etc. in his daily routine, he starts moving beyond the mundane existence of this material world. Mind attains state of calmness and harmony. So we must remember that our success in meditation is directly proportional to the initial preparation of our. When mind is free from desires, it is calm and composed. When it is riddled with desires, it is agitated and stormy. The agitated mind cannot concentrate. The essential prerequisite for concentration and meditation is reduction of our desires. Reduction of desires is renunciation. The concept of renunciation has been greatly misconstrued. Renunciation does not mean retirement from service or society. This does not mean dispensation of normal life as a householder. It is not measured by the possession we have, but it is determined by the attitude of disposition towards our position. King Janak is a perfect example of great man of renunciation. He possessed large fortune, but his attitude of disposition towards his possession made him a true example of renunciation. So the spirit of renunciation can alone pave the way to salvation for nation as well as individual. In this lies the freedom, real freedom and happiness of mankind. As we advance in the spirit of disposition, of detachment, our sattvic nature is more pronounced. We gain more and more objectivity in life and become less and less involved in the happening in and around us. We begin to observe the world as an onlooker, as a witness. Renunciation is the secret of success. When our mind rests on high ideal with selfless desires and even with, and without having any egoistic feeling, then all our energies concentrate around our determined goal. We are then at our best. The stern law of life is attach you lose, detach you gain. So the essential prerequisite for concentration and meditation is reduction of our desires. We must eradicate first which disturb our mind, disturb our concentration. So we have to reduce our desires. And reduction of desire is development of renunciation. This is the preliminary condition for meditation and realization of higher self. Now the question arises, how can desires be eliminated? Desires are eliminated by three methods. First, reduction in quantity of desires through karma yoga. Improve the quality of desires through bhakti yoga. And change the direction of desires through jnana. First and foremost part of spiritual training is to study and analyze our inner constitution. Before we take up the spiritual path, we must find out what exactly is our basic nature and our spiritual requirement. Our inner nature depends on the varying strength of mind and we all are so different in nature, in our inner natures. This depends on the varying strength of mind and intellect. That is why there are emotional, the rational, the energetic, and the indolent people. The emotional man is one whose mind or heart is comparatively more developed than his intellect. His mind governs his personality than his intellect. Such a man is designed for the course of devotion, bhakti. With intensive practice in the course of devotion, the devotee's vasanas get practically exhausted. He becomes spiritually prepared for meditation and realizing of higher self. The second category, the second type is a rational man. Rational man is one whose head predominates over his heart or mind. His intellect is comparatively more developed than his mind or heart. He is more rational, intellectual, and discriminating. A man of such caliber is suited for course of knowledge, jnana. Since he is discriminative, analytical and logical in his approach. He needs the chaste logic and philosophy of Vedanta. He gets absorbed in contemplation, transcendental reality. Consequently, his vasanas, thoughts, and desires drop. He also becomes spiritually qualified for deeper meditation and realization of his higher self. The third category. The third category is an energetic man. Energetic man is one who is balanced in his mental and intellectual personalities. Sometimes he is emotional, at other times he is passionate. He has a mixed temperament. Such a man is inclined to activity, work, service. The course of action, karma yoga, satisfies his particular temperament, since both head and heart are simultaneously employed in it. With his mind, he may dedicate his activities to the Lord of his life, while his intellect is constantly aware that his supreme self is behind each and every activity. This is called Nishkam Karma. Spiritual practitioner, thus pursuing the course of action, his inner personality sheds its worldly thoughts and desires. His mind is purified. His intellect is tuned in for contemplation and meditation on reality. So, the emotional people need to take the course of devotion. The intellectuals need the course of knowledge. Active people need the course of action. But in actual analysis, we find that no man is wholly emotional or wholly intellectual, etc. Every individual is combination of above 15 features. We may be predominantly intellectual, but then possess other qualities as well. Therefore, the right prescription for our spiritual edification is an intelligent combination and regulation of all forces. Being predominantly intellectual, one may need more of a study and proportionally less of other forces. If we choose and organize our efforts methodically, we are bound to progress in our spiritual path. These yogas give us high ideal and mind expands with selfless idea. Consequently, selfish thoughts and desires follow. Mind is the spirit. It becomes congenial for concentration. Spiritual inquiry culminates in discovery of ourself. Atman is the goal of pursuit. We have to turn introvert, wade through body, mind, and intellect, our gross subtle causal bodies, and reach to the core of our personality. Our mind and intellect get deranged by the troubles and tribulations of the world. Inner personality needs to be rehabilitated. Our mind and intellect are required to be regenerated. So spiritual training is important to our mind and intellect so that mind and intellect are rehabilitated, which has been badly disturbed by the worldly tribulations and troubles. Our thoughts and emotions are reconstituted by spiritual training. Spiritual study and reflection help purify mind and strengthen our intellect. Introspection helps us to keep our intellect alert and available for all our action. We become more and more objective in life and less involved in the affairs, we get nearer and nearer to the center of our personality. Meditation is the final gateway to reality. All spiritual practices take us up to that gate. Different courses purify our mind of worldly thoughts and desires. They prepare us, qualify us for concentration and meditation. Meditation is designed for those who possess purified calm mind. Meditation will not help the spiritual initiates. In fact, may do more harm than good. It is postgraduate course in religion. We don't start with meditation. We end with meditation. Before we plunge into meditation, there is a lot of ground to cover. The above mentioned courses, Bhakti, Gyan, and Karma, help us to cover that ground, provided we choose them according to our personal needs through self-effort or free will. Without such preparation, the practice of meditation is like trying to run before one can crawl. Few realize that meditation is a highly technical course. It is a specialized art, skill. The mind requires initial processing and preparation. Only a prepared mind can be trained to concentrate single pointed. The art of keeping mind aloft in sharp focus upon one single thought to the exclusion of all other is meditation. When we are on the path of meditation and we practice it in our daily life, we become more cheerful, more tranquil, and more objective in anger, hatred, and restlessness get controlled and ultimately vanish. This is the test of correct meditation. The greatest help to spiritual life is meditation. Through meditation, we succeed in divesting ourselves of all material conditions and realize our divine self. The seeker finds that his life is set on a new trajectory and moving in that right direction to achieve the core purpose. However, ultimately, it is only through divine grace one experiences complete transformation within and merges with the universal consciousness. In words of Swami Vivekananda, those who are pure always in body, mind, and speech, who have strong devotion, who discriminates between the real and unreal, who persevere in meditation and contemplation, upon them alone the grace of the Lord descends. He has combined all the three yogas, that is, those who are pure always in body, mind, and speech, that is through Karma Yoga, who have strong devotion, that is through Bhakti Yoga, and who discriminates between real and unreal, that is Jnana Yoga, and then persevere in meditation and contemplation. And then Swami Vivekananda says, upon them alone the grace of Lord descends. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, sometimes, do rely on him. Be like a dry leaf at the mercy of wind. And again he would say, the wind of his grace is always blowing. What you need to do is to unfurl your soul. Each soul is potentially divine. If there is any question, you can ask.
Those who want to ask question, they can unmute themselves and ask question. I have already allowed to make yourself unmute. So they can unmute themselves, and if you have asked any question, you can ask questions.
Thank you so much. I think there is no question. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for patiently listening to me.
Again, I request all, if anyone is having any question, then please ask, or any ideas you want to put or anything.
Anilji, kindly unmute yourself first. Anil Barwaji, you can unmute. First, you unmute yourself. It's not
Okay.
Yes.
It is not. Yes. Hello. This is now unmuted now. I am actually Anil Kumar Barua from Assam, madam. I have been doing meditation since about 9-10 years.
Okay.
Even now, actually, I could not concentrate, I must say, because mind is always full of thoughts. Though I try to live in the present, just I could not do that successfully. But of course, there are some improvements and some positive results, no doubt. But this is my utmost effort. With my utmost effort, I have not been able to fully surrender to my guru or just to meditate. So, any advice on that?
Yes, I would like to answer your question. In fact, the mind, as you have rightly pointed out, that mind wanders around, and it is very, very common. And as I said, that meditation is the last stage. Firstly, through these yogas, for pursuing these yogas, we have to purify our mind, we have to stabilize our mind. So in Gita, it is very interesting that Arjuna asked Krishna that how are you asking me to control the mind? Because controlling of mind is like, controlling the air, the wind. As the wind cannot be controlled, similarly, mind cannot be controlled. So how are you asking me? So Krishna says, yes, I agree. Mind is very, very fickle, chanchal, and asthir. It is not stable, but you can do it. And second line, he gives the answer. That is, vairagena cha, abhyasena tu vairagena cha. Abhyas. Try for this state again and again. Try. What is abhyas? Try to, this is again, it comes to you, I'm telling you. Because when you try to bring your mind to a to the Almighty, having total surrender, then, and you just, remain engrossed in His thoughts. First, as I have earlier pointed out, that you have to, in meditation, you have to put your thoughts a single point. So it can be any point. So when you start abhyas, doing abhyas, and vairagya, as I told you, is renunciation. It is not, leaving the retirement from service or society or not having any possession. This is not vairagya. Vairagya is your attitude of disposition as as you detach yourself from your position, you start living the life of a vairagya. So I gave the example of Raja Jana. So Krishna says that abhyasena vairagyena, or by these two things, one can bring the mind under control. So as I earlier also pointed out that before we plunge into meditation, we must have these Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam. We have to do all this first, bringing some Niyam in life, bringing some Yam in life, do Pranayam, look at your breath and the breathing exercise, and then we go to the meditation. It comes at last. It is a final thing. It is the final gateway to reality. So I could only explain, I can explain to this extent. I think I have been able to answer some of your queries.
Yeah, I got the answer, of course. Of course, though I know that this is the 7th stage meditation.
Yes.
Ashtanga Yoga. We have been doing Ashtanga Yoga, other things, Yama, and all these things are there, and Asana, Pranayama. Of course, I could not start from the very childhood actually. Only in the later stage I did it. Maybe due to that yogic, sort of state of a yogi, I have not arrived as yet. Probably that is the reason. Anyway, I have been trying, but now I am doing some Samarpan meditation with a good Himalayan guru. So I am a lot of positivity and a lot of things I am getting. But even then, I have to go miles and miles. Thank you, madam. This will help me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amaji, there is another question from Arunima Barua. Is free will or purusartha? Is they both are same or different?
Did you get the question, please? Repeat again.
Is free will or purusartha? Both are same or different?
Free will or
Purusartha.
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 Purusharth. Yes.
Purusartha, yes.
This is one and the same thing. Purusharth. Look, Purusharth we use in the worldly terms as well. When we are having a lot of activities in the world, doing our physical activity, discharging our duties, there also this word comes, Purusharth. But as rightly yesterday I was hearing, whatever is there in the world, that is the reflection of the actual divine kingdom, divine empire. So this Purusharth is used to both. Purusharth is self-effort. This Purusharth can be non-life as well. But when you use it as a free will, as a Purusharth in the intellectual, in the spiritual world, spiritual life, I am referring to that Purusharth. Thank you.
Okay, Arunima ji, are you satisfied or you want any further question?
So I think no further question. Thank you so much for all for listening.
Yes, another question.
Yes.
Another question. How important is preservation of nature? Not just in a few countries, but also all over the globe. It is from Anand Khan. How important is preservation of nature? Not just in a few. I kindly see the message, Umaji. How important is preservation of nature? Not in a few countries, but all over the globe? That was the question.
See, preservation of nature is very important. But as I said, that in fact, the entire nature has to evolve. And when we bring all these yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, they all help us in preserving the nature. Because what yam says, ahimsa. So when there is no hinsa towards nature, when we are not having any kind of ill will towards the nature, and we are not behaving in a very selfish manner, then we are automatically preserving the nature. Certainly we have, because this is an aspect of Lord, of the super consciousness. Nature is very, very, though it cannot speak, it is not, but it is a part of, like, in Gita, Sri Krishna says that it is my Jad Prakriti, Ashtadha Prakriti. So these five, Prithvi, Jal, Akash, Vayu, Agni, all these five it comprises, they comprise the nature, they're part of nature. So when we do not have any kind of ill will, when we do not impinge upon their freedom, then automatically we are preserving the nature. And this comes, as I said, when a person follows these Ashtanga Yoga, it comprises everything, all goodness of the entire nature, entire world. So that is very important. You have rightly pointed out, preservation. We have to do it.
Sister, another question
Yes.
that is relating by our brother from Pakistan, Bhagwan Bharwani. How can we develop patience and virtue of silence?
How to control and no.
How can we develop? How can we develop
Patience and virtue of silence?
Yeah. Yes.
Very interesting and very good question. Because, like developing patience and virtue of silence, these two are the aspects, these two are the characteristics of the person who has attained the calmness of mind. As I said, unless if the mind is agitated, if mind is agitated, you cannot control that, you cannot you cannot have patience, and so you have for this you have to practice. For practicing silence, see, there are two types of silence. We can keep our mouth shut and say I'm silent, but it is not silence. Silence is from within, when your mind is not chattering, when all the thoughts are not disturbing you, when you are in a silent state of mind. This is actual silence. So if somebody can attain that highest silence of inside and outside, and also have the patience, he has reached somewhere. And for reaching to this again and again, I'm saying one has to pursue the path of spiritualism, because when you start moving in this territory, and since I'm saying it from my own experience, that when you start walking in this path, it is a golden path. It will only give you good things. It will not give you anything bad. Rather, all bad things will be taken away. So sometimes, you feel, as brother was saying, that I have not yet reached. But then my teacher used to tell me that your journey should be pleasant. Your journey, you should enjoy your journey. You should not think of the destination, but keep taking the journey. And when you take this journey in the spiritual world, in the spiritual life, in the spiritualism, then the patience will also come and silence will also come. So for that, you have to be very disciplined in life. You have to bring certain, yogas in your life, which will give your mind a high ideal and the selfish thoughts and chattering of mind. Because why mind chatters? Because mind chatters because it has so many things to handle. And that is why it keeps on chattering. So how can you silence your mind unless you drop off these desires, you drop off this selfish habits, selfish attitude.
So another question from a young sister from Ujjain, Bhavana Rewardikar. How to control anger and anxiety, and how to stop immediate reaction to any negative administrator.
How to control anger and anxiety, and how
To stop immediate reaction to any negative administrator.
yes.
Bhavan
In fact, controlling anger and controlling your immediate reaction. For this, you will need to have a very, very stable mind. As I pointed out in my talk, that our mind and intellect both are very much disturbed by the tribulations of the world. So our mind has to be rehabilitated. Mind has to be rehabilitated. Our emotions have to be regenerated. And for this, we need again a spiritual faith. But if you are asking me as a very ordinary person and what I follow, let me be very frank and share with you that in a very stressed condition, and this I am saying, which I learned from my guru, that if you are very angry, if you are almost going to react, the only thing at that time you should do, that leave that place, be in some other place, be silent for some time. Your reaction will stop, and your reaction will not be distracted. So you have to leave that. You leave that place. And I have practiced it, and I found it has worked. That when you are very angry, first thing that you should stop your reaction. The second thing is, if the situation is such, you should try to leave that place for some time. Your mind will calm down. To my very, very, humble submission, this much I can offer.
Okay. Professor Shinde sir, do you like to add something?
Shindeji knows himself so much in any case. He is already a very committed person in this field.
Sir, unmute yourself. It is now open to, you can unmute yourself, sir. Yes.
Yes, now because host was closed it.
No, it is already open. You have to...
Now it is open. Now it is open. Thank you, Umaji. Very nicely explained you. I am very happy to listen you right from the beginning. Wonderfully explained, and you made a wonderful atmosphere of what we can say, atmosphere that raises our consciousness to the subtle level. Somebody asked a question about the Purushartha. In that, I would like to add, see, Jnana, Artha, Kama, Moksha, all these are the 4 Purusharthas which one has to do. What is this Purushartha? That is what the question is asked. What we must understand, that is the creativity, a creative force which is within us, that must be expressed outside. And for that purpose, whatever vehicle we have, physical, emotional, mental, all these vehicles need to be expressed what the inner creativity is there. So Purushartha, all this includes this, and it is not only a free will. You may use your free will, you may use your choice, but that creativity need to be continued. So this creativity, which is in everything, in you, in everybody's creativity is there, and that creativity need to be given a way to express. Usually I used to say a joke. When we go for a walk, somebody will ask, "How are you?" And the reply given by a wise person that gives something hint to us. He replied, "I am perfect. I am perfect, but there is some difficulty in expressing it." See, I am perfect, but there is difficulty in expressing it. So, Purushartha is there within us, but still there is difficulty within us that needs to be purified, that needs to be sensitized, and all this includes in the Patanjali 8 Angas, and that Madam has explained very nicely. Even she explained patience and the other question was whatever thing. Very nice. Thank you, Umaji. Thank you. Nice of you to see here on this platform. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep, for giving
Thank
me
you so
this
much,
opportunity.
Hideki. Thank you so much for enlightening me on the subject of Purusharth, which is really a very important aspect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Actually, on another national lecturer, Brother N.C. Krishna, he mentioned that very interesting point that is relating to yes, objective introspection help us to notice what needs to change from within. When we understand what needs to be changed, the reply and remedial action comes from within. It is his opinion addition to the subject and discussion. Thank you, Krishna sir, for your nice opinion on this subject. Thank you, Umaji. Thank you, Sindesha.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for having patience to listen such a long talk. But I'm very grateful that all of you listen. And the way questions are being asked, I'm overwhelmed, because I can see that people have really listened to it and they have heard it. And I'm very happy. Little bit I could contribute. Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaskar.
Yes, Swasti can continue.
Yes, thank you all. Now it's time to close the session. We will close the session with the closing prayer. Let's observe 1 minute silence before that. Oh. Oh. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso mam jyotirgamaya, mrityurmam amrutam gamaya, sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, na kaschit dukkha bhav bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you all. The session is closed for today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, each one. with Namaste. Namaste, Umaji. Thank you.
Namaste.